The truth has come out, and now the Vatican is under intense pressure from every direction. Pope Leo XIV is sitting in the middle of a storm that is shaking the Church deeply. The faithful are not silent anymore. They are standing up, they are kneeling in churches, and they are openly challenging the bishops who have been trying to restrict the traditional Latin Mass. They are not doing this out of pride or anger, but out of a desire to protect something they believe is holy and true. The recent leak of secret documents has made it clear that the report used to justify the restrictions on the traditional Mass was based on a lie. It was not a misunderstanding or a simple mistake. It was a deliberate move, a manipulation that hurt many faithful Catholics who love the old liturgy and who find deep peace and faith within it. When the faithful learned about this, they felt betrayed. They realized that what was being taken away from them was not only a form of worship, but also their trust in those who lead them. They began to see that the bishops were divided, with some wanting to continue suppressing the traditional Mass and others quietly hoping the truth would come out. And now, with the truth in the open, it cannot be hidden again. This has created a moment of decision for Pope Leo XIV, a moment that he cannot avoid or push away with silence. Every action he takes, every word he says, or even if he chooses to remain silent, will be seen as a choice. Will he stand with the lie that was used to restrict the Mass, or will he choose justice and return what was wrongly taken from the faithful? The faithful, who have been quietly resisting, are now encouraged by the truth that has come out. See that bishops around the world had actually recognized the fruits of the traditional Mass. They saw peace in their communities, an increase in vocations, young families returning to church, and a sense of unity around the sacraments. But all of this was buried to create a false reason to suppress the Mass, and now the faithful are not afraid to show their reverent resistance. In Charlotte, at St. Patrick's Cathedral, the faithful knelt to receive communion on the tongue, ignoring the bishop's new directives. They did this with humility and quiet strength, showing that their faith is deeper than the fear of human pressure. They are sending a clear message. They want the traditional Mass, and they will not give it up easily. They know that their kneeling is not just about a posture during Mass, but a sign of their devotion to God and to the truth. Even before the leaked documents came out, many faithful felt that something was wrong. They sensed that the truth was being hidden, and they chose to respond by holding on to what they believed was good and holy. This resistance is not an act of rebellion, but an act of faith. It is a desire to stay close to God in the way they have found Him in the silence, reverence, and beauty of the traditional Mass. Now, Pope Leo XIV must decide. The faithful are waiting, and so are the bishops, though they are divided. Some bishops are demanding the continued suppression of the traditional Mass, believing that it is a threat to unity and that it brings division. Others believe that the Mass is a treasure, something that has brought many back to the faith, and that must be protected. These two sides are now facing each other, and the Pope stands between them, needing to make a decision that will shape his pontificate and the future of the Church. There are three paths in front of him. One is to continue the line of Francis, maintaining the restrictions and ignoring the evidence that has come to light. This would please those who see the traditional Mass as a problem to be controlled. The second path is to find a middle ground, allowing some controlled space for the traditional Mass while trying to keep the peace between the divided sides. The third path, which many believe is the path of justice, is to restore the traditional Mass fully, recognizing that the suppression was based on a false report and an ideological agenda. The choice will not be easy. If the Pope chooses the first path, he will keep the support of the bishops who want to continue the suppression, but he will hurt many faithful who now know the truth. If he chooses the middle path, he may try to reduce the conflict, but it may not be enough for either side. If he chooses the third path, he will be taking a stand for truth. But he will also face resistance from powerful voices within the Church who are opposed to the traditional Mass. The faithful are praying, waiting, and watching. Many of them are hopeful that the Pope will choose justice. They believe that the traditional Mass is not just an old form of worship, but a living treasure that brings grace, peace, and deep faith to the Church. They are ready to continue their peaceful resistance if necessary, kneeling in churches, receiving communion on the tongue, and praying for the truth to be honored. The pressure is real, and the time for a decision is near. The anniversary of Traditionis Custodes on July 16th is approaching, and it is a date filled with symbolism for many. It marks the moment when the restrictions were put in place, and it could become the moment when those restrictions are lifted. Whether the Pope chooses that date or another, each day that passes increases the expectation and the need for clarity. In the meantime, the faithful continue to gather, to pray, and to show their reverence. They are not shouting or creating chaos, but they are not silent either. Their actions speak clearly, and their message is one of love for the Church and for the faith they have received. They want to pass this faith on to their children to keep alive the beauty of the liturgy that has nourished so many souls for centuries. The Pope's decision will also reflect his vision for the Church. Will it be a church that values truth, tradition, and the voice of the faithful, or a church that continues down a path of suppression based on a false narrative? This is not just about the traditional Mass. It is about trust, honesty, and the relationship between the shepherds of the Church and the flock they are called to serve. The faithful have shown that they are willing to suffer quietly for the sake of their faith, but they are also ready to stand for what they know is right. They are not looking for conflict, but they will not accept lies and manipulation. They believe that the Church should be a place of truth, and they are holding the Pope to that standard. This moment is a test for Pope Leo XIV. It is a chance for him to show that he will not be swayed by false reports or by those who use power to push their own agendas. It is a chance for him to listen to the faithful, to recognize the good fruits that have come from the traditional Mass, and to act with justice. Many believe that if he does this, it will bring healing to the Church, restoring trust and unity. Where there is now division, the faithful are not alone in this hope. There are bishops who, while perhaps silent publicly, know the truth and want to see the Church embrace it. They see the young families, the vocations, and the spiritual depth that come from the traditional Mass, and they understand that suppressing it does not help the Church but harms it. The documents that were leaked have shown that many bishops around the world did not want to suppress the traditional Mass. They recognized its value and its ability to bring peace to their diocese. This was hidden, but now it is known, and it cannot be ignored. The faithful are calling for justice, and the Pope has the power to bring it. The decision will also affect the unity of the Church. Some believe that allowing the traditional Mass will cause division, but the faithful believe that it will bring true unity. A unity based on truth and respect for the diversity within the Church. They believe that the suppression of the Mass has caused pain and division, and that restoring it will bring peace. The faithful's actions, like kneeling during communion and praying together, are powerful reminders that the Church is not only about structures and power, but about faith, reverence, and devotion. These gestures show that the faithful want to live their faith fully, in truth and in humility. Pope Leo XIV's response to this situation will be remembered. It will show whether he is a shepherd who listens to his flock and seeks the truth, or whether he will continue on a path that many now see as unjust. It is a moment of decision that will shape his pontificate and leave a mark on the Church. As the days pass and the anniversary of the restrictions approaches, the faithful continue to pray for the Pope. They are praying that he will have the courage to act with justice, to stand for the truth, and to bring healing to the Church. They believe that the traditional Mass is a gift that should not be taken away, and they are ready to continue their peaceful witness for as long as it takes. This is a time of hope, but also of serious reflection. The Church is facing a choice between continuing a path of suppression and embracing the truth that has now come to light. The faithful believe that the choice should be clear, and they are waiting for the Pope to act. In the end, this is about faithfulness to God, to the truth, and to the mission of the Church. It is about honoring the faith of those who have gone before and passing it on to those who will come after. The faithful are ready to continue their witness, trusting that God will guide his Church and praying that the Pope will choose justice, truth, and peace for all the faithful.